Welcome to the channel. Today, or tonight I should say, we're doing some full self-driving. It's Friday night, so traffic may not be as busy, but hopefully we get to see a couple different scenarios occur. Hopefully nothing dangerous, knock on wood. It is currently running software version. Actually, I'll just show it up here so I'm not quoting anything wrong. We are on software version 12.2025.8.4, running full self-driving software 13.2.8. So it's raining, so this will be a good test of how this performs with, I should say, obstructions. Not that rain is a huge obstruction, but it can be, especially on the cameras. Actually, as we can see here, with the cameras, they are pretty clear. This was this had water droplets on it earlier, and the way the camera housing has air channels on it, it actually blew off the water. So I think that's pretty cool. There's no mechanical features to clean the cameras. It's all based off of the air channels that flow through there. I did get an update notification, version 13.2. Version 13.2.6 or I'm not even sure. Now I gotta look. Don't do this at home, kids. Oh yeah, 25.8.6 is available, which is just a software update for the vehicle, not necessarily for full self-driving. I believe it's a minor bug fix. My car does have the radar feature enabled now. I've had a few issues where that detects my dog, who is actually in the back seat. When he sticks his head out onto the passenger front seat area, it will detect him and give me a notification that the seatbelt is not being worn. So hopefully that fixes that. I haven't really had any other issues with it. So like I said, it's just a minor patch. I will probably install that later on and maybe take a drive with it. This is a very interesting intersection. There's a diagonal road here. Honestly, I do not like this intersection. Even with full self-driving, I kind of question how well it does, but so far it's been pretty nice every time I've gone through this intersection. I know personally, if I was driving manually, I would have tons of anxiety. Oh, that car's speeding. That truck is making a statement. See? Why did that guy do what he did? So we have nighttime driving, we have rain, we have just crazy drivers around us, so it should be a good drive. Just about 20 minutes. So see what we catch there. In hurry mode. I originally, when I purchased the car, I left it in standard mode. I thought that was probably the best way to gauge it. And standard mode is fine. It does everything that you would expect. I tend to like hurry mode just because it's a little more confident in its decision making. You know. And what I mean by that is it tends to pass vehicles that are maybe not going the speed limit, or if there's an obstruction, it will navigate faster around it. Or at least that's what I believe in my experience. You know, I'm not sure exactly what goes on behind the scenes here, but so this road is actually this road has tons of potholes that were recently filled. I did ruin my tire a couple weeks ago driving on this road, and luckily I was able to go to the service center and they replaced the tire. It did cost me the full price, which was, I believe, around $560 around there. That really sucked, I'll be honest. But with the performance model and 21-inch wheels, that's kind of something you can expect if you do decide to go with a performance model. I've been very careful, and I feel the only reason I did ruin my tire, it took a chunk of the sidewall out, which it didn't lose air, but you know, with the sidewall being, you know, damaged that way, you don't want to drive around with it for very long. So it was a safety concern, and so the service center, they went ahead and saw me right away because it was a safety concern. So I did appreciate that, and they did give me a loaner for the day. I will say that the 2023 Model Y, yep, there goes the radar detecting my dog in the passenger seat where he's not really there. I will say that the loaner that they gave me was a 2022 or 23 Model Y. Not sure exactly. It did have hardware 3. Hardware 3 is terrible. I was unable to use it, even though it did have the full self-driving available. It made too many mistakes that I had to take control far too often. So if you are considering getting one of these vehicles, I would say make sure it has hardware 4 if you can afford it. I know other people might say that hardware 3 is capable, and I'm sure it is fine on the highways, but honestly I wouldn't trust it outside of the highways. So the 2026 launch edition has been out for a couple weeks now. I really wanted to wait for that, but back in December when I finally bit the bullet on this vehicle, they were offering 0%, along with a bunch of other incentives. So at the end of the day, this was a fantastic deal that I could not pass up. I know there are some physical differences on the exterior look of the launch edition versus the Legacy Model Y, which, you know, I'm not a huge fan of the Legacy Model Y look, but it has grown on me. I would say that the launch edition is preferred. But now knowing, you know, how things played out with the interest rates and things of that nature, you know, I got a hell of a deal, and I'm pretty satisfied with this, considering that the important part of the vehicle, which is the full self-driving, is the exact same. Now I know the launch edition does have has a lower bumper front camera, which, as far as I know, is not currently utilized for FSD. So now we're actually getting into some heavier traffic here. So it tends to make lane changes more aggressively, and it's trying to make its way to the far left, even though it doesn't have to. Which is weird, because there's clearly less traffic on the right lane that we just came from. There it goes. It's now on the far left lane, and it wants to be the speed racer that it is. Another thing of the launch edition that I would have totally enjoyed to have in this vehicle would be the acoustic glass. There's clearly a lot of road noise. Normally it doesn't bother me because I have my music turned up, which, since I'm recording, I want to keep it down so that I don't get any copyright strikes from YouTube or any other social media channel that this may appear on. I'm probably going to post to TikTok as well, if it stays around. I think last I heard that it's going to stick around for another 75 days, as the administration and China were not able to come to an agreement. I think too many players want a piece of TikTok, and that's making China a little wary on how this is going to proceed. Plus, there's so many other things going on in the world of politics. So we'll see how that plays out. I do prefer TikTok. It's this is supposed to be the worst of it, I think, for this weekend. It's been raining all day long here in Kansas, and it's currently 46. One thing I really dislike about the attention monitoring system is that it doesn't like you looking at the screen. It doesn't like you looking at the rear view mirror. It's really annoying. I understand why they want that, but you know, there are some times where you do need to manipulate the screen, and you know, you're going to need more than 2 seconds to glance at it. So right now we are currently in a 55 speed limit work zone. And as you see, the car did switch an update to that, which is nice. Now it's not following it because I believe it wants to naturally follow the flow of traffic. And in hurry mode it'll do that much more so. Zone, and we're back at 65. I do think it's interesting that it does read the speed limit signs. It does tend to ignore other signs though. Hopefully as the software progresses, you know, it will be able to discern different types of zones, like a school zone, things of that nature. Whoa. Alright. There's our first incident. So that's probably what I would have done, to be honest. So as you saw, the car went into the right lane as the person in the far right lane was going into the same lane. So the car went ahead and maneuvered around that, which was really nice. I'm glad we were able to show you that. As you can see, I did, brace myself to take control. That's why it's important to pay attention, but luckily the car did maneuver around that quite well. So awesome job.